So Giants wide receiver Malik Nabers took part full live speed drills for the second day in a row as he pushes to be ready for New York's season opener against the Cowboys September 13th. There's a lot of optimism around this Giants team, obviously. They've had a very, very busy offseason. I've made my case on this, so I'll go and start with Geoff, the former Giant. This was a stock. Are you buying?
I think I'm buying. I don't know how high I'm buying it too, but I think I'm buying in year one. It's just, first and foremost, just the coaching change makes the team better, right? We talked a lot about John Harbaugh earlier, his success in Baltimore. It's just going to be a better coached football team. I think Nabers coming back healthy is a big linchpin for the offense, right? We saw how important he can be to this offense. The offense line's healthier this season, right? You'd imagine that Dart has hopefully figured out how to protect his body a little bit better. They've made adjustments on defense, and they added Reese. The roster's gotten a lot better. The only question I have, and I've said this for a couple weeks now, is I don't know if I trust the offensive coaching staff. Matt Nagy on his own has not been as good than when he's been with Andy Reid, and we saw last couple of years in Kansas City kind of backslide. You unfortunately saw with your Bears, it wasn't as good. They're sort of blending a bunch of offensive coach concepts together with Callahan there and Roman there and with Nagy there. So I sort of have a question about offensive philosophy. But I think, Coach, they've upgraded their roster. They've upgraded their coaching staff. They've done facility upgrades. They've upgraded the analytics department there. They've upgraded the training staff. They've done a lot of upgrades just holistically to the entire team. They're going to be better this year. I don't know how high the stock is going to go, but you have to, I think, buy them for now in the future.
I don't know how much I'm buying because I have a lot of questions. Can they stop the run?
They were atrocious against the run last year.
They were, and who did they trade away?
Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah. Okay, so that concerns me. And Jackson Dart, can he stay healthy?
That's a big concern, obviously.
Can Scadaboo stay healthy?
No.
Can Malik Nabers stay healthy? So there's three big components to their offense, and we're not really sure whether or not are we going to see them 17 games, 12 games, 8 games. Those are big things that need to be answered. And then when you look at the division, everybody loves Dallas, and they're got the greatest offense on earth. And then Philadelphia won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Washington, we'll see what version of Jaden we get back, but that's a pretty competitive division as well. So it's exciting that Nabers is back. Hopefully he'll be back for the entire season. The track record, though, hasn't been very strong in terms of their ability as collectively to stay healthy. And did they answer the stop the run question?
I think they're less of a stock and more crypto. A lot of volatility. I think there are more questions about the Giants than any team in the NFL. But could go well. There are answers to those questions. Could they be better stopping the run even without losing Dexter Lawrence? Well, maybe. They had maybe the worst linebacker core in the NFL last year, and they added Arvell Reese with a top 10 pick, and they have a new coaching staff. That could help. They have a really good pass rush. They were top 7 or 8 in pass rush win rate last year with Brian Burns and Abdul Carter and Thibodeau. So if they play with more leads and have more time to actually unleash their pass rush, that could help. Jackson Dart had multiple touchdowns in 10 of 12 games, and he only played in 1 game with Malik Nabers. So you give him Malik Nabers and Isaiah Likely. And as much question as I think is totally valid about the blending of the different offensive philosophies on that coaching staff, probably not firing their play caller in week 10 and their head coach like they did last year. So it should at least be an upgrade of what Jackson Dart dealt with last year. Offensive line's been a question for the Giants for years. Added a top 10 pick on the offensive line. So they got a lot of questions, but there are potential answers in-house, I think, for all of them. So I do think that they are a sneaky wild card team this year. Now, they might be a year away from that for Jackson Dart needing 2 years in a system and continuity and all that. So, maybe it's a year too soon to put them there, but I think firmly they are heading in the right direction.
So this for you isn't a sleeper, it's a deep sleeper?
See,
the new layer
I don't like how
Nick
Nick labeled the deep sleeper. Yeah, I think that for me they would qualify as a deep sleeper. 2 teams clearly better than them in the division. Washington maybe on their level. A ton of question. Could they finish in last place and win 6 games, 7 games? Sure, but could the Giants play with some leads? Pass rush gets home. Jackson Dart takes a leap. I think Malik Nabers is a top 10 receiver in football. You put a big play quarterback with a big play receiver. I think there is an upside to this team this year.
There's a lot of exciting components to the Giants. when they're all out there, and both offensively and defensively, they can do a lot of things.
Abdul Carter looks like he's going to be unbelievable.
Yeah, they can do so many things in terms of pass rush, but one of the most frustrating things in the world is if you never get a chance to pass rush.
Yep.
So you've got all these weapons, but if someone can just run the ball down your throat the entire game, people are happy to do that and demoralize you, and that slows down pass rushers in general. Offensively, they've got exciting players, big personalities, and I like the components of the offensive staff. I think Greg Roman brings a very unique running game to that offense that's challenging and can do a lot of things and has value. The division isn't anywhere near locked, and typically in that division somebody new wins every year. So I guess I don't own any crypto. So I guess
You don't want it to be more than like 5% of your portfolio.
Not investing in the Giants if that's where I have to go with it, but.
Don't turn into first things first for financial advice. Keep it as a little dabble. We're going to run a little no huddle across the NFL here, starting in Philadelphia, where Jalen Hurts, mixed reviews during an open practice, about 40,000 in attendance, in which he threw 2 touchdowns and had 2 picks, including a pick 6. I'm sure everyone in Philly just, calm, level-headed reaction. Well, it's 2 sides to every coin. In training camp, you throw an interception, it's like, hey, our defense is going to be awesome this year. All right, Coach, you expecting struggles from Jalen Hurts in this new offense?
I'm not 100% sure what to expect because they've been hit or miss on their OCs, right? They hit on one, they miss on the next one. They hit on one, they miss on the next one. So this one should hit based off of the pattern.
If that was how it works, yes, I would be a much better roulette player.
Based off the pattern that we've seen so far. And to me, it's not just about Jalen Hurts. It's about Saquon Barkley, and it's about how effectively they run the ball. We're going to see the Saquon of 2 years ago, the explosive plays, the volume of production, or is it going to be closer to what we saw last year? And that's going to be a big component of how successful Jalen is. With the subtraction of A.J. Brown, I think there's going to be an addition in chemistry. And in typical Eagles style, they went out and found a lot of answers at receiver, and they threw a lot of resources at trying to compensate for what they're going to potentially lose from A.J. Brown in inability. How well those guys mix, that's a component of it as well. And if they can get to his saying, what is it, 100% accountability and 0% entitlement, and if that's the case, this could be a really effective offense.
That was a mantra that you loved.
I love it.
You loved that a lot more than Dak's greatest offense there is, their Gotti offense.
What? Yes, that should be copyrighted.
Boring. Go ahead.
I have my doubts about this offense this year. Look, all interceptions are not created equal in training camp. There are some times when coaches ask, hey, we're throwing the ball deep today, right? We're working on this and that. And you're going to throw interceptions. I think we put way too much stock into that. Obviously, off of one of these videos, it looked like a throw was late. Again, it happens. You're working on things. There's a rhyme or reason why you might throw an interception. Like that one right there looks late. I mean, whatever. We don't know what the play was. So I'm not really worried about that. What I am worried about is a first-time play caller who's bringing in a brand new offense that they have not run at all, the new offensive line coach. And the things that are done in this offense are things Jalen Hurts has never done. He's never had his back to the defense on a play action pass before. This team has not run outside zone before. This team has not majored in these things. You have a coach who has not had to make adjustments yet with a quarterback, and reports are Jalen Hurts doesn't make adjustments that well. So you mesh these things together. How fast can you put this together with, I think, a fan base that wants results now and is going to want the coach to show them that things are happening fast. So I have my antennas are up. But coach's point is very well said. They have a very talented roster, right? Especially on offense and on defense, of course.
One of the most talented in the NFL.
Right. So they might be able to overcome some of these issues early on with just functionality of the offense, because Saquon Barkley breaks a tackle and goes to scores a touchdown, or Hurts throws a bomb and goes deeper. Hurts breaks a tackle and goes long. Like, there's ways to make up for maybe a little bit of sputterness in the offense with just some explosive plays.
I think the defense should be great. I think Devontae Smith is a legit number one. Yes. Saquon's obviously fantastic. And Jalen Hurts has a ton of leadership, and he's a gamer, and so there's a lot of things to really like. I do have questions about his ability as a pure passer. So I'm not the biggest fan of counting on him to run an explosive offense because of him. Like when they were an explosive offense 2 years ago, it was like their offensive line was crazy good, crazy healthy, and Saquon Barkley was healthy, and then everything else kind of fell into place behind it. Wanted to show you guys this. I didn't really know what to make of it, like other than it's interesting, and on Wilds' something or nothing barometer, this hit me as something. Sean Mannion coached Jordan Love. Now he's coming over to coach Jalen Hurts. I don't look at Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts as being stylistically particularly similar, but their numbers are remarkably similar, down to like air yards per pass and time to throw being within hundredths of a second. And at times, Jordan Love did play for stretches of football like an MVP candidate. So my lean on this was, it's something, and maybe I should be a little bit more optimistic about it.
This offense has, for years now, produced MVP caliber quarterbacks and MVPs, to be honest with you, right? It's produced both those things. So it's an offense that has been successful. But Jordan Love, to me, the Packers, like, just kind of like, man, like, is that what you want Jalen Hurts? I think the Eagles hope that they're better than Jordan. He's better than Jordan Love as a quarterback.
I think they take meh if they win. Like
But they've had that, right?
Yeah, and they won a Super Bowl.
Right.
So I take meh again to win a Super Bowl. And it's interesting. We talk about the Ravens with a first-time coordinator and MVP, and people are excited to join. This is fantastic, and Lamar, and how exciting the offense is. But it's the same thing in Philadelphia, and then there's concern, and it's really we're talking about apples to apples in terms of new guys, first-time play callers, former MVPs, maybe a different, stylistically very different, but it's about the running game first in Philadelphia, to me, and then everything builds off of that.
Let's keep the no huddle going and keep the pace up here as we go to Minnesota. QB2 is where now the quarterback battle is between J.J. McCarthy, who was their 10th overall pick in 2024, and veteran Carson Wentz. These guys splitting reps in practice and expected to split reps in the upcoming preseason game. Geoff, do you expect J.J. McCarthy to be on the Vikings roster at all in Week 1?
I think if it was their choice, he would not be on the roster. I think they would find a trade partner and he'd be out of there and then just move on and say, hey, we're done. Like, he's never becoming the starter again. Kyler Murray's that guy. They've clearly coach passed on him. It feels like they would like him to not be on the roster in Week 1 if possible.
I could see him not being on the roster. I would imagine they'll probably lean towards keeping him on the roster because they're into him for the money and he can get another year of potential development. You can see what happens moving forward. There's enough of a track record of former number ones going on and having success elsewhere where you may not want to risk that. Now, it's a function of what's JJ like in the room? What's he like in the building? How difficult is he going to make it for the organization to keep him? Because guys can not shoot their way out of an organization, but definitely make it noisy enough so that the conversations ramp up organizationally as to, do we want to continue to deal with this headache?
No, there's been no indication that he's going to make a lot of noise here. And my guess is the Vikings would not cut him because of what you're talking about, trading up for him, even though they just traded up one spot and the money and the contract and where they drafted him. Like, if he plays well in this preseason game and the Steelers called and said, 4th round pick for J.J. McCarthy, who says no? Like, I do think
the Vikings would. I mean, the Steelers would then have 4 of the same quarterbacks, but sure. But yes, I mean, 4th round pick. I think they would absolutely do a 4th round.
I think
pick.
If someone is willing to offer you a 4th round pick, I don't think they're giving him away for a 6th or 7th round pick. Which, given how many players go back to college football now, those picks are honestly like 6th and 7th round picks have very little value in the NFL. They never had a ton of value, but they have even less value now because players are staying in college longer. So the guys who are bottom draft picks are not as good. But I think if you got a mid-round pick for J.J. McCarthy, they'd be compelled to move off of him.
So what makes you think another team in the league is looking at this and going, okay, he lost to Kyler Murray, he lost to Carson Wentz. No, we should give up a 4th round draft pick and eat his money.
I'm not saying that team exists right now, but if somebody, I think that there is an argument to be made. I would not make it, but I think there is an argument to be made that J.J. McCarthy has not gotten enough of a chance to be given up on for the 10th overall pick in the draft. So if another team loves him,
Really? He got He got every
10 starts,
option,
whatever it is.
He got every option in the world to start. They got rid of Sam Darnold. That's about the biggest chance you could have gotten. He got an opportunity to play, and now he had an opportunity to compete for the number 1 spot, and he has an opportunity to compete for the number 2 spot. So if you lose after they trade Sam Darnold, you can't win the spot there. Then you come back and they bring somebody else in, and you lose to him. And then they come back and say, hey, now you got to fight for your 2 spot, and you lose to him. At what point is it his responsibility to justify staying there?
Again, I would not make the argument, but he doesn't have a lot of game film.
Yeah, there's a reason why he's not beating out the people in front of him. Like,
sure,
you could say that about a lot of guys who haven't played. Well, they haven't played because the guy in front of them is better. But he literally had everything lined up to be successful. And a lot of people feel like that offense and that offensive coordinator and that head coach and that system he was a quarterback whisperer, right?
Well, I have made that argument that if you can't succeed, like I've made it about Kyler. Like if Kyler doesn't succeed in Minnesota, I'll have serious questions about if he will be viewed as someone who can succeed anywhere. Top wide receiver duo, play in a dome, great play caller, Brian Flores led defense, maybe middle of the road offensive line, but pretty good tackles, good running game, good tight ends. Like, yeah, it is definitely an alarm that J.J. McCarthy cannot succeed in Minnesota.
Yeah, if you're the 10th pick in the draft and everybody wants you to be successful, and you have a guy that in your words is a quarterback whisperer, and
he did it with Cousins and Darnold.
Yeah, who are both veteran quarterbacks
Yeah.
that he inherited as opposed to developed. So if it doesn't work, at what point is it JJ's responsibility?
Probably now, but I think a team might still fall for him. Next up on the No Huddle, the Dolphins. All right, so their offense, I guess it really struggled yesterday, at least according to Omar Kelly in the Miami Herald. He was not subtle about this, Coach. Dolphins practice is over. The Dolphins offense was a disaster. They were so bad, Malik Willis got the team together for a talk midway through. It didn't help. What do you think about that characterization?
So we talked about this earlier. So I said there can be a little bit of spice in these tweets or spice in the way these are projected. So this is a disaster. And then when we talked about 2-0, I forgot the
It was impossible to
so that
name
was
him the starter.
impossible. This is a disaster. I imagine that it was probably a pretty sloppy practice. And those happen sometimes in training camp where it's just a bad day, quarterback center exchanges, snap counts, and you go through that. Do I think it's indicative of exactly how it's going to go throughout the course of the season? No, there was a lot of really exciting thoughts about Miami's offense and Malik when camp started. Would I be excited as a head coach to have a day like that this late in training camp? No, but I think maybe it's not a total. We can't label it total disaster right now.
There were other tweets that described the practice as being very difficult as well. It wasn't just one from them. Look, I think Miami just offensively is not as talented as their opponents are going to face this year. That comes down to a lot of it, right? You look at the weapons they have, the offensive line. They have some individually good pieces on the offensive line, but as a unit, not very good. Running back's outstanding, as we know. Quarterback, I have my doubts on, and so you have a brand new coach, new coaching staff. Coach, you're going to have bad days. You would like them to be day 4 in training camp, not whatever today is, day 23 of training camp. I mean, you're almost in game prep for week 1 time. It's almost go time now to start for week 1. So it's a bad time to have a practice like this.
So when we talk about we just talked about JJ and how little he's played. Malik Willis is 3-3 as a starter.
I like Malik Willis.
I know, but he's 6 games.
I know,
He has started 6 NFL games.
So the Dolphins might have 0-17 written all over them. I'm on 0-17 watch if they lose week 1. Can I make the case real quick?
They play the Jets twice.
Yeah. I know, but okay. I know, but can I make the case real quick? They are carrying, I'm a big follow the money guy. They're carrying $179 million in dead cap space, which means they are paying
Which is ridiculous.
It's a record-shattering number. So that means they are paying $179 million this year to players who are not on their team. Tua, Tyreek.
It's over half the cap.
Correct, over half the cap. Tua, Tyreek, Chubb, Ramsey, Waddle, paying all these guys a ton of money. If they don't win in Vegas week 1, and sure, the Jets games, I'm with you. Other than the Jets games, you want to tell me? I like
they're going to be a touchdown underdog in 15 games.
When you are paying over half of your roster in terms of cap to not be there,
14 games, yeah.
It's a new coach, a new GM, a new quarterback. They're trying to be terrible by design for next year. If your best thing is your running game, because I do like their offensive line, and I love Achane.
Yeah, there's pieces that are really good.
But if you're down 17-0 and you have to abandon the run game,
look at the back half of that schedule. When you think about 0-17, you think about, okay, are there games at the end of the season when you're playing opponents that don't need to win? The Bears will need to win, the Packers will need to win, the Chargers will need to win, the Bills and Patriots will all need to win. You'll need to win, your opponents will need to win all those games. It's a difficult schedule to see where the wins are. There might be an upset here or there, of course, because that's the National Football League. Everyone gets paid to go play on Sundays. But the schedule is setting up, Coach, where it's a possibility. I don't think it's going to happen.
No one's ever gone 0-17.
But it's a possibility.
If they lose to Vegas week 1, 0-17 watch.
Yeah, if they haven't won through week 12, it's going to get
pretty tough, right?
That last third is ridiculous. And again, follow the money. They're not trying to win. They took the dead cap hit on Tua by design. They did it a year after signing him to that 4-year, $212 million extension. They're like, nah. We'll just take $99 million of dead cap on Tua.
How many starts from Winklevoss this year? You think it's a full season? Or you think at some point they bring Quinn Ewers?
I don't think he gets a full season. I think you see Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, I agree too.
I feel bad for Malik Willis, man. I liked him in Green Bay. Give that kid a shot. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about the future of Bryce Young in Carolina. And yesterday, Panthers head coach Dave Canales was asked directly by Stephen A. Smith if he viewed Bryce Young as his franchise quarterback. And Canales answered with, quote, "He is right now," end quote. Now, he went on to praise Bryce for his progress and say that was a front office decision, but certainly not obviously, we view him that way, type of answer. Former Panther, Geoff Schwartz, do you view this as a make or break year for Bryce Young?
Yeah, absolutely. The Panthers have put into place things to help him, right? They drafted T-Mac last year, Offensive Rookie of the Year.
He was awesome.
I
loved watching Tevin.
I feel so expected when you watch his film in college. There was some overthink, some groupthink when it came to his route running in college.
He's really good.
He was good in the NFL, shocker. They went and got Monroe Freeling at right tackle. They love Monroe Freeling at right tackle. And I
like Monroe Freeling too.
Okay, so and they've obviously had to use him immediately because they had some injuries with Ickey's out at left tackle, then Taylor Moton had the blood clot, so he stepped in right away. They've tried to build up interior offensive line. The guys are healthier now, which is good because with a shorter quarterback, you need a firm front of the pocket. So they went and got big offensive guards immediately once they ended up with Bryce Young. So they put those in place, right? Tight end still a question mark, but they have Brooks in the backfield now healthy and running back. And one thing they did this offseason was Canales gave up play calling duties. They decided that they wanted a coordinator that was maybe a little more aggressive, that could bring out some of better qualities in Bryce Young and let Canales sort of manage the entire game instead of being, the offensive play caller throughout the game. So they've done everything, Coach, to make it successful for Bryce. It's now up to him to do it. It's now up to him. He's not got his long-term contract yet. Again, this staff did not draft him. There's not that connection to having drafted Bryce Young. So absolutely, it's a big year for him.
Yeah, I said in the press conference one year that Chad Pennington was our quarterback right now. And I wasn't saying that in the sense that I was looking to bench him. I was just saying that everybody in training camp is in competition, including the quarterback. But those two words caused so many problems afterwards because of the same reason that it's causing problems here, where he could have just said, hey, he's made a lot of progress, we're going to see where it goes. And I'm sure that's what he's saying, is this is an evolving organization. This is the front office has ultimate control. We're going to see what happens, which he followed up with. And when you look at Bryce Young, he had a lot of career highs last year. He was 8-8, which is his best record, 23 touchdowns, which is a high. Now, 11 touchdowns was one higher than last year, so that's where he dipped. 63% completion, 87.8 passer rating, and his sacks were down at 5.3%. So all those numbers are progress, but none of them scream franchise quarterback. And when you're taken as high as he is, and this is a little bit of the Caleb, situation where expectations were really high, performance the first year wasn't very good, so now any incremental progress people are excited about, but Caleb's progress is more exciting than what Bryce's progress has been.
Well, listen, I know we have some disagreements on Caleb, like pretty different physical profiles of player, right? In terms of like the...
Yeah, I'm not saying they're apples to apples. I'm just saying number one overall draft picks that underachieved the first year. Everybody's wondering, did they make a mistake? And then, and it's the same thing for the Prince. It didn't have a very good first year, had a much better second year, although their second years have been better than any of Bryce's years so far.
Well, and in the comparison game, just if you do think the narrative to that stuff factors in, like C.J. Stroud was picked after Bryce, second pick to the first. He outperformed him. He's had more success in the NFL. The Bears traded with the Panthers for that draft pick that ended up becoming Caleb Williams, right? So like Panthers fans are like, oh my God, like we could have had C.J. Stroud and we could have just waited a year and been really bad and we could have had Caleb Williams and we're stuck with Bryce Young. What I will say for Bryce Young, of course it's a make or break year. He was extension eligible. They didn't give him an extension. They picked up the 5th-year option. So just like C.J. Stroud, it is a make or break year. But what I will say for him is I think he is bringing the who was better, Bryce or C.J., that is becoming a real debate again. Like, if we look at it...
That's absolutely a debate again.
It was not, the first year and a half into their career. Last 20 games, I'm not saying the stuff on the right is great in terms of you want more than 211 yards per game. Like, he's not explosive yet, and there are some physical limitations, obviously, with a 5'10 quarterback. But a 90 passer rating, and he's gotten a new coach, and he finally has weapons, and they're building around. Like, he is trending in the right direction. They played the Rams tough at the end of last year. They got better as the year went on. Like, there is a reason to believe in Bryce Young in Carolina. I'm not saying I do, but he is at least trending upwards.
Well, I watch a lot of Carolina Panthers because my son Zach is a big Carolina Panthers fan, so I end up watching a lot of the games, and he has improved substantially from where he was.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.